The Naked DJs podcast. Are they really naked? We know they expose themselves every day just so they can bring you the best of music. They like to stick it out there for everyone to hear. You can hear their podcast on Anchor.fm, YouTube, and any of your favorite podcast platforms. Welcome to the Living the Dream podcast with Curveball. If you believe, you can achieve. Welcome to the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast, a show where I interview guests that teach, motivate, and inspire. Today, I am joined by nationally teenage published author, Sarah Humpherys. Sarah has written 6 novels. She is from Utah, and her latest novel, fantasy romance, I should say, is called Stone Cold. Sarah's goal is to inspire fellow writers to follow their writing dreams, as well as connect with readers in different worlds. So we're going to be talking to her about her story and how she got started. Sarah Humpherys, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, I appreciate it.
Why don't you start off by telling everybody a little bit about yourself?
Okay, well, my name's Sarah, and I live in Utah, and I have an interesting about me is that I'm a twin. I have 2 brothers that drive me crazy. It's fun. Let's see. I'm a senior in high school, and I've been writing for my entire life. Ever since I could hold a book, basically. Like when I was 3, I was like, "Hey, Mom, can I tell you a story?" Like it was really fun. And I just love story in general, like reading, writing, watching TV. I'm a total nerd when it comes to everything. Star Trek, Star Wars. I watch a lot of anime and just Marvel, and I love story and characters, and that's just my life. That's me. And yeah, so I've always wanted to be an author. And other than that, maybe a biologist, because I really like science and like psychology, forensics. I just love learning and telling stories. So that's me.
Tell us about your style of writing. What genre of writing do you do?
Oh, well, I I always write fantasy. I've never done anything like realistic fiction, historical fiction, anything like that. I can't do it because for me, writing has always been a form of escapism. So I always write fantasy, and it's really cool doing like world building and writing magic. I love magic. And sometimes I throw romance in there because, I don't know, I haven't dated anyone yet. I'm 17 and I've not really gone on a date yet. So it's just fun to write romance, be like what could be, what could happen? Like that's how I go on dates. I write romance novels.
Speaking of your age, you got published at the age of 16. So tell us about that and how you managed that.
Well, that was absolutely terrifying. I didn't think I'd ever be able to do it, honestly. It was kind of just a shot in the dark. Like publishing is so daunting, and so many people are never able to do that. Like they write and they never get published. But with me, I was able to go into a writing program run by New York Times bestselling author Angie Fenimore. And she had a program where she taught students how to write books. And then at the end of the program, she had agents from publishing companies that she had a personal relationship with. So we were able to pitch to those agents, and they said yes. I pitched to 3 agents, and they all wanted my book, and I sent it to one of them, and the first person said yes. And it was so exciting for me being so young and just having that opportunity. And that's just amazing for me. So yeah, that's how I got published.
That is absolutely amazing. Congratulations on that. Tell us about your favorite books and why they are your favorite books.
Oh, my favorite books. Never ask an author that. They will not be able to. They will not be able to pull down like pinpoint anything, any one book because it's just too hard. They've read too much. Um, but I don't know. I really like dragons. Dragons, something that I'm really nerdy about. I love dragons. And so one of my favorite book series is called Wings of Fire, and it's like so long. It's a 15 book series about dragons, and there's a war going on, and like there's a prophecy, and there are these young dragons that are supposed to stop the war and save the day. And it's just very fun for me. Yeah, so I love dragons a lot. Like I'm sometimes really nerdy and really picky about it. Like, oh, they didn't draw it right, and just like about dragon physiology, and I just love that kind of world building. So yeah, I love dragon series like Wings of Fire, Aragon, Trilogy, Fledgling, stuff like that.
In your bio, you talk about creating new worlds. In your books, how do you create new worlds that captivates your readers?
Ooh, okay. Well, let's see. I like to create well, one of the good things that you do when you do world building, when you create a world, is to try and make a society, basically, like a system of government, like try to put real things into a fantastical world, like to just ground it a little bit in realism. So I usually do like medieval kingdoms because those are really easy to write and those are understandable for readers. And it's just instant plot. Medieval kingdoms are instant plot because kings, queens, princesses, kingdoms rising and falling, heirs getting lost or killed is fun. So yeah, I usually do medieval kingdoms because that's a way for the reader to be engaged because readers are used to that. But I also I also throw in magic systems because they're also fun and easily understood for readers. Like everyone wants a bit of magic, and yeah, so I try to ground the world in little bits of realism for the reader to just try to understand what's going on, and it's captivating if I make a lot of mystery, like magic. That's it. Like readers always want to explore a magic system and see what the characters do. So yeah.
We talked about your favorite books. Let's talk about who are your favorite authors and why do they inspire you to do what you do?
Whew, okay, I can answer that. Not books, but authors. I love my favorite authors. So the person who wrote the Dragon series, Wings of Fire, her name is Tui Sutherland, something like that. So I love her and her dragons. Another one that a lot of people would probably know is Brandon Sanderson because he is amazing. He is everything that I aspire to be because he just pumps out books so much. So I wish that I could have that kind of consistency and to be able to write so fast. It's awesome. And he also does really clever magic systems. Like all of his world building is just amazing. Like there's this magic system in a series, Mistborn, that he wrote, and people like eat or like burn, that's what they call it, different metals, and that gives them superpowers. Like that's just really creative. So instead of doing like kind of a, I don't know, more standard magic system like fire, earth, water, air, people bending the elements kind of thing. Like I've read a lot of books like that. He just does really creative world building, and I wish I could do something like that.
Tell us about each of your books, kind of give a brief description and tell readers what they can expect when they read them and how can they purchase them.
Oh, okay. Um, so only one of them has actually been published so far. It's called Stone Cold, and you can buy it on Amazon and Barnes and Nobles. It's Barnes and Noble. It's everywhere, and I thank my publisher for that because I didn't know how to do that. So I'm grateful. Um, but yeah, so Stone Cold is a romance fantasy um, about a kingdom where everyone wears these enchanted stones that take away emotion. That's their society. It's an emotionless society, and there's a princess in the kingdom. That's the main character, and the stones don't work on her for some reason. And because of that, she is considered dangerous, emotional. She's 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 basically like a plague to society, like people like her, people that the stones don't work on. And so they're immediately hunted down and executed. So this princess tries to like hide herself in this own kingdom in the castle. And she tries to not draw attention to herself, and she just, yeah, that's how she lives her life until several things happen that cast her into the light. Her brother dies and she becomes the crown heir. And so um and there's a marriage alliance and a war going on, and it's just her story of trying to basically come to terms with her situation and be able to survive while still being human, while still having her emotions, but not showing them to people. I like that book. I don't usually write like indoor fantasy in a way, like I do more adventure stuff. So there's this other book that I wrote. It's a dragon novel because I love dragons. But basically, like, it's about this species of dragon who has like enslaved humankind, and they've killed all the other dragon species, and it's like a human slave who has to go around and like rebel against this dragon species who has enslaved the humans. So I like that book, and I'm not gonna describe the other ones because they're really bad. But yeah, so those are my novels.
Tell us about any current or upcoming projects that you're working on that people need to know about.
Well, I'm working on the sequel to Stone Cold. Uh, it's been kind of hard actually because for authors, their current work in progress, the current novel that they're writing, is is always their worst one. Always, like, they always want to. They have so many ideas going around in their head, and they always want to go and jump to new ideas and new worlds and stuff like that. So I am slowly working on the sequel, but I also have a couple more ideas um, that I've been working on plotting out. Like, there's this other project about like this evil magical empire and a princess. I like princesses a lot. Who's trying to like um, regain her kingdom within that empire, and she has to like start a revolution. So that's cool. And those are the projects I'm working on.
Throw out your contact information if you have any websites and social media links that people can connect with you and learn about all that you do.
Yeah, I have a website, and I have Instagram. I think it's like at Sarah underscore fantasy underscore author. It's been a while since I was on there because I don't like social media very much. But yeah, I have Facebook too. So there are platforms that you can contact me on, or like my email, sarahauthor000 at gmail.com. So yeah.
And your website is sarahhumphreys.com, if I'm correct, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, final thoughts to close it out. Give some advice or tips to any aspiring authors out there.
Ooh, this is fun. Um, okay, any aspiring authors out there? Um, keep reading. And I know that a whole lot of people say that. So I'll put my own twist on it. Keep reading and take notes while you're reading. Like, take notes about like what authors do, because you have to learn how to write a story, and how you learn is that you read other people's stories. So I always take notes in the margins while reading books, and I always take notes while watching anything, while watching while watching my favorite TV shows. There's a document that I have that's like 1,000 pages long of just notes, and it's awesome. Um, another another piece of advice for young authors is that be confident in your abilities when you're when you're young, because the stories that you write when you first start out, they're going to be terrible. They're absolutely terrible. But you need to feel confident in yourself at the beginning. Like try to imagine that you're on the top of the world and you're the greatest author ever. And if you do that, if you keep that confidence, then you'll be able to go forward through this very daunting business and like you'll be able to write and write and write and learn, and then at the very end you'll kind of like look back and realize, oh, my writing wasn't actually that good, but now I've gotten through that and learned, and now I can actually start writing novels. So that's my advice to young authors.
Ladies and gentlemen, sarahhumpherys.com. Be sure to pick up her book. Also, follow, rate, review, and share after listening to this episode. And Android listeners, go to the Google Play Store and download the Living the Dream with Curveball podcast app. Sarah, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah.
For more information on the Living the Dream podcast, visit www.djcurveball.com. Until next time, stay focused on living the dream.